There is this overarching theme that I'm picking up on lately where a lot of women are just holding on to a lot of shame.
Is there a common thread, or is it shame manifesting in different ways?
There's a lot of shame that comes through. Am I a good enough mom? Am I making the right choices? Am I hurting my kids? I obviously established myself as someone, the breadwinner, who was going to provide for the family. It was scary. It was really scary. I had outgrown a space that I was trying to keep myself. I've been with that firm for so many years, so many amazing experiences, amazing people. And so you have all these conflicting thoughts. In my heart, I'm like, I knew I was ready. And I do believe that our bodies tell us a lot of times that it's not working. I didn't want to let people down. I didn't want to be a quitter.
I was in the same situation. It's like my 20-year career, I've reached peak. Where do I go from here? Well, I can't let all these people down. I can't let my family down. There's the financial structures.
It felt really alone at times. So trying to control everything. It's exhausting.
Tell us about Second Harvest.
We're not therapy. You're not coming to a Second Harvest retreat wanting to be fixed.
So you're enabling the journey, but you're not promising a solution.
Not promising that you're going to walk out fixed. Promising that you're going to walk out with perhaps even more questions.
Before we get into today's conversation, 2 quick things I want to mention. First, the Breadwinners newsletter is on Substack. It's where I put the stuff that doesn't fit in a podcast episode. Think of it as a group chat you didn't know you needed. Real talk about money, childcare, partnership dynamics, and the messy middle of building a life that actually works. No polished advice, just the honest, unfiltered conversation we'd be having over dinner. Feel free to subscribe at wearethebreadwinners.substack.com. Link is also in the show notes below. And second, if you're getting value from these conversations, I need to ask you to do something that makes a real difference. Subscribe and rate the Breadwinners podcast wherever you're listening. And here's why it matters. Every subscription and rating tells the platforms that this content is resonating, which helps us reach more women who are redefining what it means to be a breadwinner and their families and communities. And honestly, it's what allows us to keep producing this show and growing this movement. So hit subscribe, leave a rating if you can, and help us reach the women who need to know they're not alone in this. Today's guest is Devon McDonald, and her story is one of the most honest examinations of success and motherhood I've encountered. Devon spent 17 years in venture capital, rising to general partner at OpenView Ventures while raising 3 babies. In March 2020, OpenView had its largest exit ever. On paper, it was the absolute pinnacle. But on the inside, Devon felt totally out of alignment. She describes sitting alone in her car, listening to meditation audiobooks, and wondering, why do I feel like I need to escape when I finally made it? Devon didn't just acknowledge something was wrong. She actually did the terrifying work of dismantling a life that looked perfect to everyone else. She lost 30 pounds. She hired a psychologist and a spiritual coach. She learned about nervous system regulation. She set boundaries at work, transitioned her role, and left her marriage. Out of that liminal space, she co-founded Second Harvest with her partner, Richard Banfield, a retreat for high-achieving leaders who look successful on paper, but know they're ready for something more aligned to their inner truths. This conversation is about the secrets successful women keep, the cost of performing to act like you have it all, and how you rebuild when everything you thought you wanted stops fitting into who you're becoming. For any breadwinner mother who ever sat in her car just to breathe, this one's for you. Please welcome Devon McDonald. Devon, welcome to the Breadwinners Pod.
Thank you.
I'm so glad
good
you're
to be here.
I feel fortunate because you're on spring break with your kids.
Yes.
And it just happens to be in Austin.
It's beautiful weather in Austin. Yeah. 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Boston right now.
The backstory is you and I have a mutual friend, Richard Banfield, who is more than a friend to you, but a dear friend of mine who I've known for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard and I reconnected recently because we're both on the same path of completely shifting how we think about the second half of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And he and I hadn't talked for a few years. And then we got on the phone just to catch up. And it turned into a really foundational conversation for how I think about what I'm building today with the Breadwinners. And you're building Second Harvest along with him.
Yes.
So I can't wait to get into the commonalities of where we are. You and I were
have a
talking
lot in
before this record, career-wise, family-wise, and where we are today. We have so much in common. So that's why I'm even more excited for this conversation. But let's go back and tell us a little bit about Devon, the D1 athlete, and the early parts of your career to help the community understand where you were before, and then we'll talk about where we are today.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I went to Colgate University. Let's see, my first job out of school, I got, it was a recruiting agency called Michael Page International,
Mhm.
and it was through a Colgate alum who was also, he played sports
Yeah.
at Colgate. So I wouldn't, I mean, it wasn't necessarily like through the basketball team per se, but through the
Yeah.
Colgate alumni network in college. I thought I was going to be a broadcast journalist. I mean,
Mm.
from the age of 12 on, it was like, I'm going to be the next Diane Sawyer.
So what happened? Where did that go?
So that turned into, well, my focus in high school became much more about sports.
Yeah.
And then I did want to go to college for broadcasting.
Mhm.
But then when Colgate came knocking, they didn't have that program, but it was like, all right, well, this seems like too good of an opportunity to pass up.
Yeah.
And so if it's meant to be and I'm still passionate about it, I'll go get my master's and
Mhm.
do journalism after. So build on that like sort of like liberal arts base.
You should have come to BU.
I know.
Best
I mean,
broadcast journalism.
honestly, I don't know if I think there were some schools that, I mean, my dad was like definitely sending out like pamphlets in the mail to these schools and
Proud
BU was on the
dad.
list. I know he was like the ultimate, stage dad. My
That's
nickname now is Stage
awesome.
Mom, but it's funny. So,
Oh.
yeah, BU would have been
Yeah.
for so many
It was fun.
reasons.
It was different.
But maybe would have put me on a different path. So who
Totally.
knows? Because what I did was
Yeah.
during the summers, I would have internships. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And
It's a grind.
obviously, like, for me, the role I was doing, I know I was walking in there and I was going to be like absolute lowest in the totem pole, like, go get us a cup of coffee kind of thing. But it was more, I think, just the environment and the vibe.
Yeah.
It wasn't right. So by the end of, I quit and I was never a quitter, but I quit midway through my second internship.
What made you quit?
I hated it.
What did you
I
hate?
hated also waking up so early. I would,
3:30
yeah,
alarm?
yes.
Oh.
And, it was just I would cry the night before I had to go, and this is, like, unpaid internship, so I'm really just
You're
like,
like, "I'm not even making
I'm not even
money."
making money, it's like, they don't even know who I am there, I don't even know. And so, it was funny, I remember I would stay at my aunt and my uncle's house, actually, the aunt and uncle who live in Austin,
Yeah.
and I would stay at their house because they lived close to this TV station,
Mm.
in Manchester. And I would, the night before, I'd just be crying, and my little cousin, who's 7 years younger than me, would be like, "Why are you crying?" She's like, "If you don't like it, just quit. Just quit." And I remember, like, I think about that now. Like, that voice, I just got chills, comes back to me, and it has come back to me in this last handful of years. Because it's like, if you're not happy, just quit.
Just quit.
And at the time, like, to hear her say, it's like, "Oh, I can't quit, I can't do it." But it's
Yeah.
like, no, why prolong the misery if it's,
It is it's a really good point as we try and teach our kids
yeah.
resilience and getting through the hard stuff,
Mhm.
and you'll come out a better person on the other side. But at what point do you raise the white flag and you're like,
Yeah.
"Nope.
Totally.
I don't wanna
It's
do this."
hard. It's a hard because there is a gray area,
Wow.
right?
How did you feel after you quit?
I felt a little, I would say the first few days I felt a little embarrassed
Yeah.
because I didn't see myself. I didn't want to like label myself or
Mhm.
my identity to be a quitter. But,
Yeah.
I think a week later I was on to the next thing and,
Yeah.
picked up the hours more at my lifeguarding job at the pool and
Where you were getting paid.
exactly, exactly. But I think that was, for me kind of like, okay,
Mm.
I don't think this is it. But then it's like, but now where do I go? Because that's all I've
Mhm.
wanted to do, and that's basically been my identity. That's
Yeah.
what everyone from my hometown knew me as
Mm.
wanting to do. That's what
Mhm.
my family really was like,
Yeah.
"Yay, Devon." My dad was very much like, "Yes, this
Yeah.
is what my daughter is gonna be on TV."
Yeah.
And so I was really nervous to kinda let him down.
Expectations have
Yeah.
been set.
Yeah.
Self-confidence sounds weird, but it's like the confidence in yourself to be
Mhm.
able to say, "This isn't working, I'm moving on."
Yeah.
At that age,
Yeah.
because I think society says to kids, I've said it to my stepson, is like, "You have to give it a year. You never
Yeah.
know. You
Yep.
just have to give it a year." But I think there's something to be said about teaching our kids the importance of trusting your gut and
Yeah.
trusting your spidey sense.
And I do believe that our bodies tell us a lot of times that it's not working
Yeah.
in maybe unconventional ways.
Mhm.
But the more in tune that you are with your body, the
Yeah.
more you start to realize it. I've noticed recently, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but when I pick up my phone, especially first thing in the morning,
Mm.
I feel an instant, and I'm scrolling social media.
Right.
I feel an instant pressure right here.
Oh.
And I'll actually stop and be like, I need to consciously relax those muscles.
Mhm.
Like it's almost like if you imagine a cat that gets like,
Yeah, yeah.
they're like,
Yeah.
I feel it here. And I'm like, this is fascinating because I do think my body is being overstimulated by what it's
Mhm.
seeing online. I try to keep my feed as clean as possible and not,
Yeah.
I know the algorithm's always kind of like picking up and
Man,
trying to show
the
you things that
algorithms,
are,
man.
yeah. But it's like, okay, but I think it's the awareness of it.
Mhm.
And I'm just trying to, in the last couple of years, be so much more aware of like when things like that happen.
Yeah.
What is that trying to tell me?
Yeah.
And it's the consistency of it where I'm like, I know my body's trying to tell me, like, put this garbage away. Women, and I've had a lot through even Second Harvest, this network we're building, and it's
Mm.
basically the best. Because like you, I'm get to just have interesting conversations
Yeah.
with
It's the
people
best.
and hear their stories.
Yeah.
But there is this overarching theme that I'm picking up on lately where a lot of women are just holding on to a lot of shame.
Mm.
And
Is there a common thread or is it shame manifesting in different
I
ways?
think there's a lot of shame that comes through with, and this is so relevant for this topic of like, am I a good enough mom?
Mhm.
Am I making the right choices? Am I hurting my kids? I'm working too much. That's impacting my kids.
Yeah.
I'm not working. That's impacting my kids because they're seeing that, their mom is not out there trying to make the money and be successful. So I think there is a lot of shame in that,
It's real.
and we don't talk about it enough.
I wrote about it this week is this idea of redefining showing up for our kids.
Mm.
And it really and there's research behind it, but it's this idea of quality over quantity.
Mhm.
Is how you show up with your kids is so much more important than the hours or the time or the timestamp
Yeah.
of, "Oh, I spent half a day with them today."
Yep. And
What were
that
you doing during that half
it's
day?
so true, and I think the divorce now, so my ex-husband and I have 50-50 custody,
Mhm.
and I will say, and I saw this happen with my parents when they got a divorce. There's so much more quality time now that we have
Mm.
because there is this sort of like, this is our half of the week, and like, let's
Yeah.
make the best of it.
Yeah.
And so I do think that in a lot of ways, the divorce has made me a better mom, more intentional, more present.
Yeah.
And I, don't want to speak for my ex, but what I'm witnessing is the same in him
Yeah.
and the way that the kids are talking about the
It gives you
experiences in both
perspective.
homes. So,
Yeah.
obviously a very difficult situation, but there have been a lot of, I would say, positive things that have come out of it.
It's interesting. If there isn't research, I hope there would be research around kids with divorced
Mm,
parents. I guess the research would be compared to kids
yeah.
with a family that stayed together
Hmm.
and how they define the quality time that their
Yeah.
parents spent with them.
So true.
My stepson my husband got divorced when he was 7, I think, and it was the same thing, 50-50. So, the time that he was with him, it was,
Mm,
like, planning the time to do
yeah.
things, and we have this weekend, so, like, we don't do anything
Yep.
else. Like, you don't plan anything else.
Hmm.
You don't do dinners, you don't do any of those things.
Yep.
So, it's a silver lining, I think.
There is. Yeah. And then it's also, that the part of the week. I mean, obviously it can be the transition days are hard.
Yeah.
But there's also this time where I can be investing in myself.
Mhm. Yeah.
And that sounds selfish, but it is what it
It's the
is. Like
reality.
it's a
Yeah.
lot healthier.
Wow.
It's a lot healthier than what I was doing before.
So going through our careers, spending, 15, 20 years in on paper, incredibly successful. We've made it.
Hmm.
The paycheck proves it.
Exactly.
The LinkedIn profile proves it. You hit this point when it was an inflection point because it sounds like your firm had the largest exit from one of your portfolio companies.
Yeah.
But it was an inflection point for you because when you should have felt success, you felt like you were kind of breaking down inside.
It was a weird time. It was such a weird time because so Datadog, one of
Mhm.
our companies, went public, and that was March 2020.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So it was this weird combination of the world has shut down, we're sort of stuck at home.
Mm,
We, my role instantly became the sort of like people partner,
mhm.
keeping the trains on the track, getting this what was a very like young team
Yeah.
and also new to the firm, getting them feeling connected, getting them developed, getting all the things
Yeah.
was now okay. Devin, we're gonna need you to lead that initiative. So, and it was in so many, I mean, so many ways. It was we came up with like really clever and fun,
Yeah.
all the
Yes.
Zoom
We did the same. We did the
way,
Zoom. It's
yeah,
like, get all the actually, one of the things I loved about it was we got all the C not all, but we, like, hand selected CEOs to bring them together, like, in the early days,
yeah,
like March. Because they're all sitting at home being like, what are we supposed to be doing? How do we run our companies? And also, like, how do we make an impact in, like, what is going on in society and culture?
totally,
And we got, like, 10 CEOs on a Zoom to just have a session where it was just like, let them talk.
yeah,
And Ryan Peterson from Flexport got on the call, and he ended up just, like, taking the reins and, like, running the call
mm.
because supply chain was impacted
Oh
so
God, yeah,
much. So he just started riffing on, like, Hey, guys, here's what we're doing."
yeah.
And then it was really cool to, 1, organize it, but just to, like,
Mm.
listen in on those
I think in the
conversations.
beginning it was really interesting what people were doing with Zoom because
Yeah.
people were, no matter what your role was, it was a
Mhm.
scary time because
Yeah.
everything was just so up in the air and you're
Yeah.
like, what is even happening in this world?
Right.
But then you had the juxtaposition of, okay, now we have had this huge exit. I mean,
Yeah.
Datadog was huge for OpenView. We
Mhm.
had exits previously, but this one was the first one where it was like the fund was returned 10 times over.
Yeah.
And you had a lot of people that became wealthy
Mhm.
seemingly overnight,
Yeah.
like really wealthy.
Yeah.
And it changed a lot of dynamics internally, and it changed dynamics for me too. And like you said, I feel like in some ways it was so exciting and it
Yeah.
was so um rewarding and all the things. But it is interesting that when you do sort of hit that milestone, you also are like, okay, I've hit that milestone. Now what?
Mhm. What dynamics shifted for you?
The dynamics that shifted were, I would just say, more and more pressure on myself,
Mm. Self-inflicted.
self-inflicted pressure for sure. Because I'd always been the high achiever,
Mhm.
right? And I had always been this person I feel like I got a lot of confidence out of and a lot of
Mhm.
positive reinforcement out of being good at things.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to keep going with it,
It's a
right?
drug.
It's a drug. And I wanted to be, the best at work. I wanted to be like the coolest mom. I wanted to be all the things. I wanted to be the perfect, like, you know,
Yeah.
household manager,
Yeah.
perfect at work. And it was just, that's not, and I also wasn't asking for help enough.
Mm. None of us are.
And I wasn't being clear with what I needed enough.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't setting boundaries and I wasn't being clear exactly with like, I need this, I need support in this area.
Clear with who?
I would say I would say in work and at home.
I feel like sometimes mom's mental load or whatever you wanna call it is self-inflicted
Mhm.
because we don't communicate or because we have these expectations that aren't achievable by other
Yeah.
people. And I just wanna normalize that conversation of not
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's all the women's fault," or,
No.
"The men can't keep up." It's more just like, well, let's just acknowledge that
Yeah.
so we can put systems in place or find solutions to
Mhm.
help people be aware of it.
Yep. It's so true. I think I mean, we're all guilty of this to a certain extent, but we want things done our way,
Yeah.
and we probably are better at doing those things.
Yeah. You're like, "Well, I'll just do it."
But it's easier just to be like, "Well, I'll just do it."
Mhm.
Then I was very quick to I see this happen with other people too, where it's like you get mad at people for not, "Well, I had to do it all."
Yeah, right.
But it's like, "Okay, but you wanted it done your way."
Mhm.
And so
Where's the
kinda gotta pick your
balance?
battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you get comfortable with imperfection?
Mhm.
I've started to accept that in my household. I'm just like,
Yeah,
this is gonna get done, and it might not be my way, but it will get done.
exactly.
My husband and I had that conversation. He planned something, and I didn't know about it, and he told me, and I was like, "Oh, this is amazing." But then I started to, like, ask questions. I'm like, "Well, what about the" he's like, "I got it.
Yeah.
I took care of it." I'm like, "Okay, you're totally right."
Yep.
But, like, I had to get into the details of, like, "Well,
Mhm.
what about" he's like, "Nope, I took care of it."
Yeah. The control freak in me would
It's like
w
every little thing. Well, because that's how my brain works. I'm like, point A, point B, point C. Like, those things connect.
Yep.
And I'm like, "Okay, did he think about point A, point B, point C?
Mhm.
Who gives a"
Exactly.
like, I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of ways to get things done,
Yeah,
and it doesn't always have to be, it's not my way or the highway.
right.
And it's letting yeah, and that's been a big lesson these last few years
So how
of
many
being
years
clear on, like, the end goal,
Yeah.
and the end goal being less about things, more about, like, the feelings.
So let's talk about that transition.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the transition of the end goal.
Yeah.
How did you get to that point? Because you told me stories about sitting in your car
Mhm.
and listening to meditation on audiobook. Was it just to,
So
like
many hours of that. I don't know. I think it was partly like an escape, a mechanism.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just I was fascinated by it,
Mm.
uh, because it did seem for me like a way to make this change that I really needed.
Did you know what the change was, or were you just like, "I'm gonna go meditate because what this other space is uncomfortable for me?"
I don't think I could at the beginning articulate it,
Mm.
but I knew there was something inside of me that wanted the change.
Yeah.
And I would find like that was one example. There was also I had this obsession with this is so funny, like pillows and going to Home Goods and always never being like fully satisfied with my house, even though I had a beautiful house
Oh.
that was perfectly decorated,
Mhm.
but I was never satisfied. And I
You're filling the
always,
void.
yeah, like I
You're
would
filling
just
the void
like,
with pillows.
no, it's crazy. And people who know me are like, oh my God, more pillows for Devon. But it was like I constantly was
Oh, that's
seeking,
so
yeah.
interesting.
So these little things that
Yeah.
were at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I did recognize that I'm like, this is weird. Why am I in the Home Goods parking lot again? I should not be going in
Listening
there.
to a meditation
Listening
app
to
and going to buy
meditation.
pillows.
But it was like I couldn't yet articulate that I had sort of like in need of change. I had outgrown a space that I was trying to
It
like
was your coping
keep
mechanism.
myself
I'm, like, sweating listening to this. Like, my palms are sweaty.
really
Probably because
your body is talking to you.
maybe me shopping on Amazon is that.
It's sort of is it self-soothing? Is it this quest for perfection? Is it a distraction? I don't know.
It's
But
a distraction because you're never fulfilled.
mhm.
It's just shit. It's just material shit.
Yes.
So you open the box and you're like, "Oh, this new thing," and then you just move on. And then you go
There's
get
this
another pillow.
quote, I'm gonna butcher this. This is like a Bob Marley quote where
Mhm.
it's like, "Money is just numbers, and numbers are infinite." So if you're
Mm,
chasing money, you're never gonna be satisfied
no.
because it's infinite, and you become, you know, you become a millionaire.
Mm.
Well, there's always gonna be someone who's richer.
Hmm.
You become, a multimillionaire. There's always someone who's richer, and like you're seeking, and it's just
Okay, here's my rebuttal to that.
yeah.
Love is endless.
Yeah.
And maybe this is the way to reposition it is like you should just constantly be seeking out love,
Uh-huh.
but is there a downside to that?
Yeah. Well, maybe it is that money is external to us
Mm,
and money is in physical things that are in
yeah.
objects,
Yeah.
and love is actually something that's more internal.
Yeah.
And so it's sort of maybe like going infinitely in the opposite
Yeah. Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
Um
Less pillows, more love.
exactly. Exactly.
You hired a psychiatrist
Yeah.
and a spiritual healer. How did you get to that point of I need to get help
Yeah.
and here is my path to healing?
I think it first started for me with physical
Mm.
because I had let myself go. I'd been an athlete. I'd always
Mhm.
been in shape. And I think especially like looking back in the pictures, because now we can, of
Mhm.
course, like document our
Right.
changes, right?
Right.
But I would say, yeah, between maybe like the birth of my third kid to
Mm.
um, about that time, right, 2000, 2021, my body was changing. Like
Mm.
I had become kind of puffy, I would
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
My skin, I was breaking out. My jaw was just like permanently clenched.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was getting, headaches. Of course, that like you
Mhm.
couldn't see that physically, but I just and I had gained weight. Like I had probably, I mean, from my college weight, I was probably up like 30 pounds.
Mm.
And so I kind of being able to look in the mirror and see something that just was like, this is what am I doing?
Yeah.
Or I'd
Yeah.
see myself in pictures. So we took
Mhm.
family pictures, and I was just like, instead of looking at how beautiful the family was, I was just like, who is that person? I don't even like recognize myself.
Wow.
And so I decided, okay, I'm gonna get in shape, and I need a coach. I'm not just gonna sign up for the gym
Mm.
because the team athlete in me who had coaches
Yeah.
needed I knew myself enough to know that I would need a coach to hold me accountable.
Oh,
So I'm
nice.
like, am I gonna get a personal trainer or what? And I stumbled into this place, Figurella, which is
Mm.
a Italian women's workout program. If you're
Okay.
in Italy, you've heard of Figurella. It's
Okay.
basically the equivalent there of like a Weight Watchers. But
Oh,
it gets compared to that a lot, but it's not just diet. Diet is a piece of it, but there
okay.
is like a interesting workout that's, I guess, most comparable to Pilates, but you're inside a heated
Mm.
pod, and you have someone who's
Oh,
coaching you one-on-one based on, um, your specific physique and what you're targeting.
cool.
Yeah.
So it's
So,
customized.
it's customized, and it's pretty I mean, for me, it was so you're 30 minutes inside this bubble, take
Mm.
a quick shower, then you're inside of a different bubble getting oxygen. People who see it and they
Oh,
see pictures online, they're like,
wait,
"Yo,
that's a
what
lot
the
of
hell
but
is
that's a
this?"
lot of biohacking now.
Yeah.
Sauna,
Yep.
barometric chamber, like,
Yeah.
it's
So
all the
it looks a
same.
little silly. It looks like I'm getting into a giant spaceship, and my friends are like at first they were like, "What is this place?" But then when they saw me, you know,
You were just
2,
ahead of the
3, 4 months
biohacking.
into it, yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. They were like, "Okay, yeah, this works." I'm like, even if it's placebo, it doesn't matter." Like, the
Yeah.
results were there because I was showing up consistently.
Mhm.
I had changed my diet. I had cut out the sugars. I had
Mm.
cut out, like, the bad carbs. I had
Mhm.
stopped, drinking for a period of time.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, physically, I just was transforming. And changing physically, I think, changed my energy levels,
Mhm.
and it changed my confidence. And I would, like, look in the mirror and feel more proud of myself. And
Mm.
I think I was carrying myself different,
Yeah.
wearing
Oh, for
different
sure.
clothes even, and
How you
it's
stand
yeah,
and
I think my aura was changing, and it was just so that then, um I think inspired more change.
yeah.
So then it was like, all right, I'm gonna get serious about working with this woman, Sandy, who is my spiritual coach, has been
Mm.
for years. Um,
What was that process like?
it was awkward at first because I had seen, therapists
Mhm.
off and on
Yeah.
during my life, and
Yeah.
this was a bit unconventional,
Mm.
in the sense it was all via Zoom.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't in person. I intentionally went to meet her after we've been working together for a year because I'm like, this is just so weird that you're someone who basically knows everything about me and we've never actually met. And so but it was, there's something that she's able to do. She's just very gifted. And I
Mm.
feel like we would have conversations and it was a little bit of time travel. It was a little bit of like, let's, she was good at sort of getting me into a meditative state
Mhm.
and going back in time and visiting those parts of me from the earlier days
Mm.
where there was a wound of some sort,
Mm.
and communicating with that little version of Devon And in a
It's
way,
like
you're rewriting the past. You're rewriting the past because you're rewiring your memories associated with
right.
that event.
Was she doing IFS, internal family systems?
I don't think so, but
It
maybe
sounds
some.
similar.
Yeah, I've heard of that before. I
Yeah,
don't think that she isn't certified in that,
sure.
but it sounds.
Yeah.
Yes, it sounds similar to that. So
Mhm.
we would do that, and we would just. I mean, we have breakthroughs, and I would. It's funny, like we would chat for an hour every single week, and a lot of times it would go into like an hour and a half. And she's
Mm.
so sweet, so she would just like keep going as long as we needed. But she, that hour and a half mark would hit, and she's like, "Okay, Devin, well, I think we're gonna come back now." And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, "What is she talking about? We've only been talking for like 10, 15 minutes."
Whoa.
And I'd be like, I look at the clock and just be like, "Are you kidding me?" Like there was time did not exist in that last hour and a half.
Whoa.
So we were doing something.
By the way, that's what happens in these records.
I'm sure. I'm like thinking, "Oh
Yeah,
gosh, where are we at
that's
now?
what
We're like
happens in
got 2
these
minutes left."
records. It's why that's why I have to have the people come in
We're
and
in
tell
flow
me.
state. I think
Yes.
we're so authentically in a flow state now that just time becomes irrelevant.
Yes. And it really does, where I'm like, "No, no, no, it has not been 50
Yeah.
minutes. There's no way."
Mhm. And then we would also go into the future. And it's like,
Oh,
well, how does Devin in the future feel? Like let's go visit her and like what does she have to say to this Devin now? And it was, I at that point knew I needed to make some changes, particularly with the career. Like it
yeah.
was just for me, I had been in, been with that firm for so many years,
Mhm.
and oh my gosh, so grateful.
Yeah.
So many amazing experiences, amazing people, but inside of me, something felt like it was ready for change. But I was scared to death of making that change because it felt like a part of my identity,
For sure.
and I felt, from other people, you talk about it, they're like, just you gotta power through it. You gotta get through
Yeah.
it. Like you're
Yeah.
in too good of a position. Why would you do that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And so
Right.
you have all these conflicting thoughts and, you start to believe them or it starts to weigh on you, a lot of just like internal turmoil, but it's
Yeah.
just in my heart, I'm like, I was ready.
Yeah.
And
It
it
always
took,
comes back. It
yeah,
always comes back to I knew it.
yeah,
I just turned it off.
yeah, right. And so it was honestly a lot of working with Sandy was like mustering up the courage to make that change.
Mm.
Didn't want to let people down. I didn't want to be um, a quitter.
Yeah.
I didn't want to let people down at work. I didn't want to let people down at home. I had obviously established myself as someone, the
Mhm.
breadwinner who was going to provide for the family
Mhm.
and so it was scary. It
Yeah.
was really scary. And then like you're leaving to do what? I don't fucking know.
It is a little bit of a position of being a martyr because and I was in the same situation. It's like my 20-year career, I've reached peak. Where do I go from here?
Mhm.
Well, I can't let all these people down.
Yeah.
I can't partially I can't let myself down, but like I can't let my family down. Like
Mhm.
there's the financial structures, there's the partially what are people going to think, but
Yeah.
it is a little bit of being a martyr of worrying that I'm going to sacrifice myself for the greater good of
No,
everyone.
100%. And I think also you have the success and you start finding interesting ways of buying new things
Mhm.
or changing your lifestyle to keep up with
Yeah.
the Joneses.
Yeah.
And these things are not like a one time purchase. They are subscriptions, they
Yeah.
are memberships, they are mortgages, they are. So you really do create the situation where you can't
Yes.
leave because
And then how do
now,
you back out of it?
how do you back out of it?
How do you go quit that $600 a month gym?
Yeah.
It's like, well, I don't know. The people are going to be there. Am I going to tell them? Why am I leaving the gym?
Yep. Your kids are in private school.
Mhm.
You have a big mortgage. You've got a membership at a club where all your buddies are. These are
Yep.
that's your community. These
Yeah.
are your people. So you really, I think, and I see this all the time now with these second harvest conversations, and even
Mm.
there's so much overlap with my second harvest conversations and the OpenView executive network conversations because it's
Oh,
pretty much in
interesting.
many cases the same person who's had a lot of success in their
Yep.
career. They have, maybe just an example, like been that like 4-time CMO with
Yep.
a couple successful exits, and they're now at a crossroads, and they're
Mhm.
like, "Do I want to do this again, or
Mhm.
do I want to do something different?"
Mhm.
And even though they've made a lot of money and had like all the
Right.
success, like they feel like I can't. Well, I would love to start this own business, but like I got kids in private school to pay for. And
Totally.
they're sort of stuck. They've almost like made like a prison for themselves.
Okay, so tell us about Second Harvest. Where did this come from, and what does it look like today?
So back to that period of transition for me, it
Mhm.
was a scary time. It felt incredibly uncomfortable because I knew I needed a change, but I couldn't yet articulate what that change needed to be
Yeah.
or what that future end state was going to look like.
Yeah.
So it required me really just like leaning into the unknown. And with that comes incredible discomfort.
What like what did it feel like?
I just felt like I was spiraling. Like I felt like I was going crazy sort of. And I was hearing like you're going crazy. I was hearing like you're going through a midlife crisis. You've changed. And you're like, I mean, you're not incorrect. Like I'm in the middle of it. I'm in it.
And
And
here's the hard thing is, like, you're conscious going through
yeah.
that, but I almost hear from some people that's what it's like when you go on a psychedelic journey.
Yeah.
It's like it's your ego,
Yeah.
but you're facing your ego while you're
Oh yeah.
conscious,
Yep.
and that's
Yes.
that's a very hard thing to live with,
No, for
and, like,
sure.
operate in society
Yep.
while that's in your brain.
Completely. And I think because of, all those that time in my car listening to those books, which we're all pretty much saying the same thing. And then my conversations with Sandy, it did ultimately, I feel like, change my sort of awareness and that I could almost like have this out of body experience where I was seeing myself in the middle of
Mhm.
of this.
Yeah.
It was like I didn't feel so trapped that I wasn't aware of what was happening. It didn't make it like much easier, but at
Sure.
least it was kind of like I
There
had some
was movement.
perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I felt, it felt a lot really alone at times. And I just kept leaning in and finding that community around me of people that were supportive and they came from different pockets of my life, but that could kind of surround me and
Yeah.
kind of be there for me when I was having those ultimate like panic days.
Did your friendships change?
I would say some did. When I some did for sure around particularly around the divorce. I mean, I think that's kind of
Mm.
a natural thing that
Mhm.
happens when a couple that's been together for many years divorces, you have mutual friends, and no doubt, like, people are gonna have to pick sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that happened, and I don't actually, like, hold any judgment for that because I think it's like, it is what it is. But yeah, friendships do change,
Mhm.
and that can also be hard because
Yeah.
that's, like, your past identity. You're
Yeah.
gr you're grieving the loss of that past identity, and you're
Yes.
grieving the loss of those friendships.
Mhm.
And doesn't mean that those friendships might not come back at a certain point, right? Like, but like, yeah, like that
Yeah.
chapter is sort of closed for
Yeah.
now.
It's
And
hard to
that's
accept when
sad.
those chapters close, when you're
Yeah.
not ready for it.
Yep.
And maybe they close, without you choosing that
Yeah.
they close.
Yeah, exactly.
That's hard.
Right. Because in a certain way, I didn't want that to happen. And
Mhm.
I felt myself trying to do what I could to try to like win him
Mhm.
back. It's
Mhm.
like, just let it be.
Yeah.
Like again,
Yeah.
this was a big part of me, just like, stop trying to stop trying to control everything.
Right. Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It is.
It is.
It's really
And
exhausting.
there's like, what I've also found is that I've always felt like it's like I've had the goals, but I've had the best idea of how to get to those goals.
Mm.
But it turns out there's not just one way to get to that goal. There's a lot of different ways.
Right.
And sometimes if you are a believer that sort of like the universe is there and gonna sort of
Mhm.
conspire to get you there, but in ways that you never would have imagined.
Yeah.
If you have that faith, like that's I would say like the ultimate like, faith that like that's
Mhm. My friend Eileen, it's the 2nd episode. She's just, like, so thoughtful, just incredible sage advice.
yeah.
And she said, "Your the river will always lead to the ocean.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what path you take, you will always end up in the ocean, and you just have to trust that you will get there.
Mm-hmm.
And it might be messy, and you might be underwater sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't matter the path
Yeah.
because you will end up there."
So true. And I see that now so I got big into journaling,
Mm.
which I had never done before. I'd always wanted to because they all the
I've heard from everyone that it's really good.
it is, but it's one of those things we put off because it feels a little
Yeah.
uncomfortable, and you're like, oh, like dear
I'm like, "What
diary.
am
I
I
know
what
it
am I
just
gonna write?"
feels yeah. What I ended up doing was getting this journal that had a lock on it, where like a
Mm.
combination. And for whatever reason, that gave me enough, like, security or feeling of safety to
Mm.
just, like, put whatever I wanted in the journal in
Mhm.
a format that didn't have to be, like, linear or didn't have to make perfect sense. Like it could
Mhm.
be scribbles, it could be words, it could be whatever.
Wow.
Could be like on the last page one day, it could be in the middle another day, just like the freedom to just
Mhm.
do whatever. But I got really into it. Would often write in my car.
Nice.
I even like
This safe haven.
I know. I ended up getting one of those like little trays that you can like attach to your steering
Really?
wheel. It just that car felt so I don't know, safe to
That
me.
was your safe
That was
space.
my safe place. But anyway, so I had the journal where in the beginning I was writing a lot about like the things that I wanted.
Mm.
Like, cause I was believing in like, okay, manifestation, this is cool. Okay,
Mhm.
well, I'm gonna write about this and I'm gonna write about that. And lo and behold, they did work out, but they didn't actually bring me the fulfillment that I was wanting. And so the more that I was leaning into,
Oh.
well, what does fulfillment feel like instead of what is that thing that brings me fulfillment? That's when interesting things started to happen.
Oh. That is such an interesting reframing
Yeah.
because people talk a lot about manifesting. It's like, well, you can just manifest it, but it doesn't mean that it's going to make you
Yeah.
happy just because you manifest it.
That thing that you're trying to manifest is a symbol of something. It's a symbol of some feeling that you want to have. So if it's like, if I want to manifest the Range Rover, well, what does that really mean? Like, I want to
Mm.
feel powerful. I want to feel important. I want to feel seen. And so what happened was in the early days, I did write about manifesting the Range Rover
Yeah.
and I did get it. But then I got it and it's like, it was great, but it wasn't like I was just on to the
It
next
didn't fit. Right.
thing, right?
Right.
So then when I started writing more about the feelings that I wanted to have in each of the areas of my life
Mm.
and really trying to invoke, like when I was describing these feelings or even describing a scenario, like what does it feel like to be in this environment that I'm imagining in my future? And what is it? I tried to bring in even like a bunch of this, like as much of the senses as I could
Mm.
to tell it's almost like it was a signal to my brain of like, this is kind of what we're working towards here.
Yeah.
And so it's like, all right, well, when it comes to my career, what does that look like? I feel so fulfilled. I feel so much freedom to express myself creatively. I get to try new things and like all these it wasn't like I want to be a partner at a venture capital firm. I want to
Right.
be a owner of a business. It's like, no, I want to feel this way. Then it's like, okay, for my marriage, well, I want my partner and I are so connected. Like our love, like you can just feel that connection. We have such deep conversations.
Yeah.
We get to do things together that are meaningful and travel. And I was describing a scenario that was in each of the back to my body. I look in the mirror and I'm so proud of how I feel. I feel like I have so much energy. So I was writing about the future that I wanted, but really centered around feelings,
Yeah.
trying not to describe as many like things as I could.
Right.
And now I look back, so you fast forward, a lot of this writing was from 2020, like one, when I was sort of
Mm.
in the depth of the like, what's happening? I need
Right.
change, but I don't know what this is. And now I look back and I read it and I'm just like, wow.
Are you there?
Never in a million years would I have thought that it would have played out this way. Like, if I had scripted it, it would not have gone this way.
Did
Like,
you script it?
I know. I had at that point, I didn't wasn't like, I'm gonna be divorced. Like, in order to get this partnership,
Mm.
this requires a new partner. That was not what I was thinking.
What were the steps you took to acknowledge, "Oh, I need a new partner"?
It was just leaning into what didn't feel right and
Mm.
being more vocal about how I was feeling.
Mm.
And then eventually just taking the leap, you know what I mean?
Which is so hard to actually verbalize
To
those
verbalize
things.
it again, because I I don't wanna let people down.
Mhm.
My partner, who I've had for many years, like, I do love him. We've built amazing things together. Like, we have amazing kids. We've
Yeah.
achieved so much, but it doesn't feel right anymore. And, so to and it I compare it a lot to I had this moment where, I was and I got it on video, so probably that's why it comes to my mind, but I'm jumping off a cliff in, Bermuda. There was this and
Mm.
I was scared, and I'm like, "Oh, just gonna do it," right? And that I feel like I've had to do that so many times the last you're never gonna feel fully ready. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
gotta leap,
Yes.
and you're like, we'll figure it out.
Mhm.
We'll figure it out." I feel like my
Yes.
best friend Cece and I, we always talk about, like, We do big, bold things because we just always know we'll find a way to like sort it out no matter.
Always
Even if
figure
it
it
goes
out.
wrong, you're like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
We got it. And
Oh.
that's like the one thing I would say that if I could pass that along
Hmm.
to my kids, like that's what I want. Because this world we're entering the next decade
Yes.
is going to be unlike anything I think we've ever
Mm.
seen before.
I
With
agree.
AI and technology, it's going to require thinking outside the box,
Hmm.
adapting, making choices, and then pivoting as need be.
Right.
I want them to be adaptable. I don't want them to be chameleons. I was thinking about this on
Oh,
the ride over this morning.
that's a
I
good
think
point.
part of what led to my feeling of just complete overwhelm was that I was acting way too much like a chameleon,
Mm.
where whatever environment I would adapt and like maybe this was like my deep empath that was like trying to make people please of like, okay, we're in this environment now and I'm almost going to like I'm going to be exactly in your space. I'm going to mirror your energy.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go into this environment and I'm going to mirror that. And that really, I think, looking back now was like what ultimately exhausted me.
Well, I will say that being in the services space
Yeah.
and helping founders
Yeah.
and helping other people build their things.
Totally. Well, it served me well in so many
Totally.
ways.
Because you're like, "Oh, I read them. Okay, I will become
Yep.
them," so they feel that they're with similar people that get them.
Exactly.
And it is exhausting.
It's
I mean, there
exhausting.
is an energy of like, "Oh, great, I'm connecting with this person."
Hmm.
But to what end?
And it's also like if you're doing that, then fantastic.
Mm.
But if you're around people that you're not aligned with and you're doing that, then
Yeah.
that's where I feel like the trouble comes because you're mirroring their energy, you're absorbing their energy, and it's not right for you.
So, okay, so how do you I'm gonna bring this back to Second Harvest. How they're small groups.
Hmm.
How many and these are retreats that
Yeah.
you have created with Richard.
Yes.
How many people? And how do you select who goes on these?
So, very good question. So it is, yes, it's small groups of people that
How small?
we take 20 people
Okay.
and we bring them to some remote location. That's a bit sort of, I would say, off the beaten path, probably
Mm,
like a bucket list destination with the idea of can you step outside of your like day to day environment
mm,
and put yourself in a place that's a bit unknown to you,
mhm.
which is in many ways like metaphorical to ultimate like these
Yeah.
changes that right. So
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
like taking a leap, like I'm gonna be with these people. I trust Devon and Richard enough to know that they're gonna put together like something fantastic
Yeah,
and I'm gonna be with like great people.
right.
But it's still that control freak in them is like, what am I doing? Like they sign up, a lot of
And these
them
are all high achieving people. So
high
what's the
achieving
casting
people.
of who you
So I mean, honestly, we put the idea out there in February of 2025 and we're like, this is something that we could have
so a
benefited
year
from.
ago?
Yeah, we could have benefited from. And we're hearing from the people in our network that this is real, that everyone's navigating some sort of transition. Like we're not like the special ones, right?
Right.
Everyone's going through it and multiple in at midlife, it could be multiple things. It could be career and relationship. It could be relationship, even like as an empty nester
Mhm.
with aging parents. Like there's like these combinations. But how can we create an environment that we would have wanted? We put the word out there on LinkedIn
Mm,
and we said, this is what we're going to be doing. Got a great website. We've chosen a place in Austria. We're going to bring together, less than 20 people. This is what, like, high level, what we're going to be doing during that time.
mhm.
And it was like people came out of the woodwork. It was an experiment. We like fully admit, we're like, I know people want to talk about this. Are they willing to do this?
Right.
Go to Austria for 5 days,
And these people
four
were
nights?
self-selecting to be like, "I want in."
And they're like, I want in. Or they're like, my brother, like we just had, a family party and like my brother's going through it.
Mm,
And he's one of those people that's always like, I was shocked to hear what he was saying because he's always been the guy that's like had it all. And like, here he is. So like, you should talk to my brother. And so the right people came forward. And so, yes, there was this process of like, I would chat with them first,
mhm.
make the connection, make sure that in most cases, like I either like know this person from like a distant past, maybe,
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
because, in venture, like you're meeting so many
Mhm.
people over so many
Mhm.
years.
You may be connected with them on LinkedIn, but it doesn't mean that you know them.
Exactly. Exactly. So it was getting to know them deeper, understanding where they're at. And it was more about sort of, I wanted people coming from different backgrounds, but it was like I wanted them to have it like consistently or to them to have an open mindset
Mm,
and to
mhm.
have agency.
Yep.
Because we are not is we're not therapy. So
Okay.
you're not coming to a Second Harvest retreat and wanting to be fixed. You're coming because you want to allow yourself the space to kind of go within. And at the same time, be surrounded by others who are in a similar place to maybe like help you reframe your perspective
Hmm.
on how you've been viewing your life and where you're headed.
So you're enabling the journey,
Hmm.
but you're not promising a solution.
Not promising that you're going to walk out fixed, promising that you're going to walk out with, as Richard says, like more, perhaps even more questions.
Oh, cool.
So maybe you're not getting answers per se, but you're getting more questions. And this is going to start to, it's the asking of questions that starts to like
Mm.
unravel what should happen in your future.
What does the follow-up to that look like?
Well, this was
Like,
also
you
part of
come
the
home from
experiment. You
Austria,
come
and then
home.
what?
Yeah. And that talk about like psychedelic experience. Like we've had that comparison a
Mm.
lot where it's like, wow, this becomes this a life-changing thing in so many ways. Because imagine this, like you walk into this group and you're feeling like quite vulnerable, right? But you're also feeling, even though you're maybe a CEO or even though you've been like successful in whatever area, like no one knows that about you. So you can actually just show up as like your authentic self.
Oh, that's nice.
And you don't have to control everything. In fact,
Yeah.
you're encouraged, like, there are gonna be periods where you feel uncomfortable. That's good. Like, there's gonna be a gap in the calendar today. Imagine that. We're not doing anything. What are you gonna like, what am I gonna do? But so once they've gone through this experience together, the bond is strong by the end.
Mm.
And we
How
saw it
long is
happen,
it?
5 days.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's a lot of time
Yeah.
together.
And so they walked out and, it was the first time doing it when we went to Austria, and we were like, "Oh, hopefully they wanna keep in touch and we'll keep in touch with them." Like, what we experienced and what we witnessed was that it was like they were like family, and people that I never actually would have expected became really close, started businesses together, writing books together,
Oh my gosh.
just having different conversations and having this friendship that, like, I even had this one woman, Nino, who from Atlanta, she was CFO, she was bought out by a private equity firm, and she took a package, she was, like, in the first time forever, she's in the midst of a transition.
Mhm.
And then you've got another guy, Brad, Texas guy, been in the sales route. They have very different viewpoints on, I would say, like, politics, religion, all this, all that,
Mm.
but they had time where they were, like, going on walks together and seeing like, in this open mindset, and now they've got this beautiful friendship where she's like, "I don't know if we would have been friends in any other form, but now I feel like such a deep connection with him."
Well, especially in today's world, we need more of
Oh,
that.
I know.
We need more of, "You may not agree with me, but, like, I would like to have a conversation with you."
We spoke about that exactly. Yeah. So the follow-up became like our primary communication was a WhatsApp channel, right? And so everyone's like sharing and talking
Mm.
about like everyone was coming in there with some transition that they were in or some life event
Mhm.
or some life event that was on the horizon.
Yeah.
So we almost became each other's like cheering squad, right? For some of these changes. And then this was the funniest part. A month after we had been in Austria. So Austria, that first retreat was in July. They had self-organized a reunion a month later,
Oh, wow.
flew in from the Netherlands, from
In
Arizona, from
person.
Atlanta. Yeah, came to Boston. I'm like, "Okay, this was
That's
unexpected."
powerful.
I was not expecting that, but I think it just speaks to they felt seen.
Yeah.
Like, they went into an environment where they could be themselves,
Mhm.
where they felt seen, and something lit up in them.
And the in-person connection, we talk about this because Richard and I wrote a piece together that the truest form of technology is human connection.
Yeah,
And putting people physically
yeah,
together, not distracted with everything else going on in this world, is the most powerful thing. It's not AI. It's not all of these things. I actually want to embrace AI because it's gonna give us more free time to go do these things.
exactly. Yeah, I 100%.
What do we do with our free time? I talked about this with my friend Mel. During COVID, it showed what do we do with our free time?
Mhm.
And I think this is an even bigger societal test.
Mhm.
What do we do with our free time? I'm not spending 2 days writing a deck. I
Yeah,
wrote a deck in 5 minutes.
yeah,
Okay, now what do I do?
and I think sadly for a lot of people, it's being on
Mhm.
Instagram, it's being on social media, it's doing these things that
Yeah.
feel good and give the dopamine hit, but actually aren't leading to happiness. It is the in-person connection
Yeah.
that is where you feel, like, full.
We see this at the dinners we host. Our dinners are 30 people, and for now, they're only an evening,
Mhm.
But in that evening, because it's not a networking event and it's not an event for working moms,
Mhm.
it's an event where you show up as yourself.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter what your job title is.
Yep.
You're showing up as yourself. And these incredibly successful women have sent me notes after being like, that was the greatest event I've been to
So
in
nice.
years. And like, these people are public figures. And I'm
Yeah.
like, holy shit, you go to events all the time.
Yeah.
And that was the most meaningful for you?
'Cause it was real.
Because you weren't networking. You didn't have to be on. You didn't have to perform.
Exactly.
I think a lot of women show up to these dinners thinking they have to perform.
Mhm.
And then they leave and they're like, oh, because it's still so new.
Mhm.
So I don't really set a ton of context before people show up at the dinners.
Yeah.
It's more like just come to experience it.
Yeah.
But it's true. People just want a safe space
Yeah.
to just be themselves.
And I think you're someone who's also so authentic that you can model the behavior, and that's probably
Yeah.
part of why this has been so successful is because you can show up and be yourself and be authentic and be
Mhm.
open, and that inspires other people to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true.
So that's I mean, that's part of, I think, what is making this successful as well, is
Mhm.
like Richard and I show up in that place of
Mhm.
like openness and vulnerability,
Yeah.
and it helps other people feel like they can do the same.
There's a couple questions I ask every guest. One of them is, what legacy do you want to leave?
I think my legacy does get passed along through the next generation.
Mm.
And I want them to grow up and be, we talked about it before, I want them to grow up and be confident and open and really like lean into what lights them up
Yeah.
and to not have to feel, not feel this crazy pressure to be something that they
Mhm.
are not. And I think that if they can do that, then hopefully they've all got that magnetic personality too. Like they can
Yeah.
inspire other people to do
Yeah.
the same. So that's what I'd want to pass along. I want others um to feel like they can authentically be themselves.
It's a superpower if you can tap into it.
Yeah,
You just have to figure out how to tap into it.
exactly.
The last bit is what I call breadwinner bites, which are rapid fire questions. What was the biggest lie you told yourself in those days where you were struggling?
The biggest lie that I told myself was that I could just fake it till I make it, and that I could really just try to suppress everything
Mhm.
to play this role or keep maintaining this identity that I had built and that served me well for so long, but
Yeah.
that at a certain point, like, had stopped serving me.
Yeah.
And so I think that is ultimately what I
You
was,
had to you had to come to
yeah,
face to face with it.
exactly.
Complete this. Success without alignment is
Success without alignment is inauthentic.
Hmm. Mhm. It really is. What would you go back and tell yourself to the woman sitting in the car?
Well, it's funny, I've gone through this exercise before, so maybe this is actually the future Devon that I was
Yes!
actually whoa, yeah.
Yes.
Um, I would I would tell her that, "Hold on. This feels really hard. This feels really scary, but you're gonna end up in a place that feels really good.
Mm.
And, just keep leaning in. You don't have to have all the answers. Just go with what feels right.
Mhm.
Go with what feels authentic,
Yeah.
and the answers will present themselves."
It is. It's your future self sitting right here.
Mhm. Yeah, and Sandy would say to me, she was like, "Well, what is that future self like saying to you, and how does she present herself? And how like tell me like what she like looks like and feels like and all those things, right?" And I'd be
Wow.
like, "Well, she's just very calm and she's confident and
Mm.
she's sort of mature and she feels like this is what I would be describing to Sandy
Yeah.
in eyes closed. Like she's sitting there and she's
Mm.
wants to give me a hug." And so yeah, maybe we're doing a little time travel in this episode.
I love that. I just started to tear up.
Aw.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
I need Sandy.
Everyone needs a Sandy.
What?
Sandy is, yeah, she's got a lot of referrals out of Second
Yeah,
Harvest.
yeah.
Well, no, she actually came to, Austria.
Oh,
She joined in
brilliant.
Austria. I told her, I was
Oh,
like,
as a guest?
Yeah, Well, as a participant, she
Right,
came
right,
and
right.
I was like, "Sandy, I want you there. Like, I really need you there." And she thought she was coming to perform. So she's like, "Okay, tell me my role. What am I gonna do?" Because she's actually like, she could do like hypnotism. She's a medium. Like, she's all the things.
Oh,
And I'm like,
cool.
"Sandy, I don't want you to do anything. Just be yourself." And she still was like, "What? She was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I'm like, "I don't want you to do what feels right. If any of those skills that you have becomes like that becomes obvious that that's needed in that
Mm.
moment, whether it's in a group or an individual, lean in, do it." So it's very not unconventional. Um,
That's awesome.
but Sandy is amazing, and yeah, I think she's probably worked
Mm.
with, I think, at least. Well, she's actually one of the ones that is writing a book with one of our
Oh, that's nice.
other women who had attended that retreat and
I
kind of
will read
sharing
that
her
book.
story.
Complete this. Community means
Community means supporting one another,
Mm.
and showing up as someone who can contribute and someone who can be helpful.
Mm.
Um, so giving and receiving, I would say, is what community is all about. It can't be one-sided.
Yeah. We have this criteria for when we're selecting guests to come to the dinner. Obviously it's like, oh, high achieving women. It's like, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And there are a lot of high achieving women that we've passed on because our criteria is you give more than you take.
All
Is it
right. So
somebody who
yeah.
gives more than they take? And I was actually having a conversation with someone recently to do a gut check. I have to do a gut check
Yeah.
to whoever's coming to the dinner. And I said, oh, well, here's the criteria. Does she give more than she takes? And he was like, nope. And I was like, she's not getting an invite.
I really like that.
Because it's really hard. Like, people are like, posturing and interviewing. You look at
Yeah.
their LinkedIn, you're like, ooh, they look amazing. Ooh, they're connected to all these people.
Yeah.
None of that really matters.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's so true. Yeah, I struggle with that high achieving term as well. Like,
Right.
because we said that's what we say with Second Harvest. It's like
Yeah.
for high achieving people who are at midlife and in the midst of some transition. But it's
Yeah.
like high achieving can mean so many different things.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of achievement. So there are people, and if there are more people who feel this way, I kind of want it like to be said, like, just because you're a high achiever doesn't mean that you ran a,
Mhm.
Fortune 100 company
100%.
and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, high achieving could mean that you raised like successful, healthy, capable human beings.
Yeah.
Because we get this a lot too. It's like we
Mhm.
have a lot of people who are empty nesters and
Yeah.
women who their identity has been being the
Raising their
mom,
kids. Yeah.
raising the kids. Maybe they had a career earlier on, but they left that and now they're in this transition point.
Yeah.
They're in their second harvest. What do I want to do now?
Mm.
I've got freedom. I've got time. My kids don't need me as much. And I'm like, they're like, is this, I don't know. Like, it seems kind of like this second harvest might be for just like people who are from your venture world, like CEOs. I'm like,
Right.
no, 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 no,
No.
no. No, it is not. Like,
It's how
you
you
will find those
define it.
people there,
Right.
but again, it's back to, we want
Mhm.
people who have agency,
Mhm.
are open minded, not victims.
Not victims. That's the biggest
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
The hero mentality.
Yeah. Exactly.
The last question I ask all of our guests. What is the last text you sent to your partner?
No. What did I say? Well, he was giving me some advice on today.
Oh.
And he said "Stage dad here," because we call each other, I
Oh.
call myself stage mom, but he calls himself stage dad too. "Stage dad here, remember to have fun. Your smile, your laugh, and your sense of humor, it's also magical. Let it flow." And I wrote, "Yes," with two
Oh.
hands up. Like,
That's
that's the
awesome.
kinda, yeah, and
That's
he
partnership.
has been so helpful to me. Like, he was my second harvest. He was my second harvest in, like, I had an amazing community of friends around me, but he was so helpful to me with navigating this change. He's been through so much himself that, like,
Yeah.
it was always like that.
Where can people find Second Harvest?
So, secondharvest.co, no
Okay.
M on that. And then we also have Second Harvest Retreats Instagram,
Mm.
and connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm always open to conversations. Like, that's what lights me up.
Yeah.
Doesn't even need to result in a retreat sign up. The retreat's not necessarily for everyone. Maybe it doesn't work for your schedule
Yeah.
now. But love having those conversations. We're making more opportunities to bring Second Harvest to a wider audience who maybe can't do that travel. So we're
Yeah.
experimenting with some online
That's cool.
community, as well as an event that we're going to have in the Boston area. It's a one-day event in May.
Okay.
So May 21st at the De Cordova Art Museum. It's beautiful.
Thanks for being here. This
Thanks
was
for having
awesome.
me.
I
Thanks
could
for
talk for another hour, but we're getting kicked out.
We are.
Awesome. Thanks, Devon.
Thank you.